And I'm an hour early. They haven't even opened them all yet. Nice. Oh, look, there's me. And that's how I won this, but more importantly, how I earned this, specifically this part down here. So a bit of background, this was Thailand's first IRL tournament ever, as far as I'm aware. And because of that, I didn't really know what to expect. I remember early events back in the UK where some people would turn up with legitimate teams and they knew what they were doing. Other people would turn up with their in-game teams, and those rounds were free wins pretty much if you knew what you were doing. And it could have been the same here as well. And something you have to bear in mind is that the average wage in Thailand is a lot lower than most countries around the world. So it's not so common for people to have Nintendo Switches or game consoles at home. VGC is already fairly niche as it is. So I didn't know if we were gonna have tons of players or hardly anyone turn up for this event. The way it was announced was via Facebook, the official Thailand Pokemon Facebook page, I do believe. And I was very fortunate. I came across the post purely by accident. And I was actually looking for the event schedules for Europe to see what events my friends were gonna be playing in. And I happened to see, I think on Liquipedia, that there were events coming up for like Taiwan, Singapore, countries that either border or not too far away from Thailand. So I did a little bit of digging, and sure enough, Thailand had a national championships coming up. So you had to register using Google Docs. So on the form, it stated that there were 100 places available, and if they received over 100 registrations, then a lottery would be drawn to decide who would be participating and who wouldn't. Not the best system, that's for sure, but it is what it is. It's kind of reminiscent again of tournaments from the past. But anyway, I turned up on the day after having received my email to say that I was able to participate. And yeah, quite a few players there, quite a few. I don't think it was quite 100. I saw the registration sheet on the table, and I think it was close to 100, if not higher than 100 people had actually registered, because the Facebook page has over 140,000 followers. So it was, I don't know. It could have been thousands of people that registered, for all I know. But again, we'll talk a little bit about that later. Got to the event, there were other players there, and I realised straight away that, yeah, this was a real tournament. The people were there to play, they were there to win, and some people had flown from other places in Thailand. The event itself was only one day. It was best of 1 Swiss, which, again, not ideal, but for me, I was totally happy with that. I've played best of 1 Swiss in the past. I've played way too many best of 3 Swiss tournaments, which again is the way to go. But I find them very tiring personally. I've done it too many times. So for me, the best of 1 was a welcome change. That said, it was also kind of scary as well because it was best of 1, and you didn't know, again, what you were going to be facing. You didn't know what was going to be happening. We'll talk about that as well. The tournament itself was really well run. Kudos to all of the staff that were involved. It was really smooth. Everything was just great. Really, really well run. Again, I've been to many, many events in the past, and this was up there in terms of the organisation. I've got literally no complaints about anything to do with the event when I was there in person. The venue, the people, everything was perfect. And one thing that I really appreciated is, the event was here in Thailand, and so the staff were primarily Thai, of course. I think there were a few Japanese staff as well, came over from Japan. But I had no problem communicating. Many of them spoke English, so I didn't have to struggle with Thai. It was all round just a really nice experience. Now, there are some negatives, not to do with the actual event itself. I have nothing but good words about it. So the downsides, the very few that there were, do not pertain to the event itself, the actual physical event. Again, no bad words about it at all to say. So the registration system wasn't great. I think the post went up on Facebook like 2 weeks before the event. So if you worked weekends, then you probably have a tough time getting the time off because you've only got 2 weeks notice. On top of that, you would only find out if you were participating or not. I think that the post stated like 4 or 5 days before the actual event itself. I got my email confirmation a week before. But again, imagine you book the time off because you're psychic and you know there's an event coming up, but then you don't get a place anyway, then you're booking time off of work for no reason. Thankfully, I didn't have that issue, but again, not ideal, could be a problem for some people. The 100 player cap as well, I don't know if that's a post-COVID kind of thing. The restrictions out here are still, COVID's still a thing out here in terms of restrictions. So it could have had something to do with that. I believe the TCG had a higher player cap though. So I'm hoping that in future, with the success of this Nationals, this will echo Nationals from other countries in the past, where it will just get better and better, and they'll have more spaces in future as well. Fingers crossed. So anyway, that was the event, and if you saw the montage in the beginning, you'd see a little bit of what it was like there. Really cool. Had this huge wall of cards in the toilet section, which was super cool. Haven't seen anything like that before, especially near the toilets at a Pokemon event. So let's talk about my team, my preparation, and my run at the tournament. So first of all, shout outs to Aaron Zheng for featuring my team on his channel just recently. If you've seen his videos, you'll kind of know what the team's about. Here it is on the screen for you now. I'll quickly run through the Pokemon and how I got to this team. So if you're new to my channel, I have videos from a few months back, I think in March, where I had a Dialga team with Groudon, and I was using it in the IC, and had Latias as well. And yeah, I decided to use that team. Again, because it was best of one and I didn't know what to expect, I wanted a team that I knew would be strong in best of one. So this team was a variant of that team. Instead of Groudon, we went with Kyogre. So the reason I chose this team as well, specifically Dialga, is because where I didn't know what to expect from this tournament, I was fully prepared for a lot of Grimmsnarl and a lot of screens to be set up for players who knew what they were doing, to basically just outbulk any players who maybe didn't know what they were doing, and just try to win through that way. So I wanted something weak to fighting so that I could run Brick Break, but get utility out of both activating my weakness policy and breaking those screens down. I wanted a strong Trick Room mode as well, because I didn't want to just get rolled by Hyper Offense, so Dialga ticked all of the boxes. For my second restricted, I wanted Weather Control and something that resists Steel. So you've only got one choice there, that's Kyogre, and luckily, Kyogre is quite good. So Kyogre made the team with an Assault Vest, give it some extra bulk as well. I don't max Kyogre too often. So we've got our restricteds. At this point, Gastrodon is quite a big issue. So that was why Thundurus made it onto the team. I wanted a Pokemon that could cover for Kyogre's weaknesses, that could cover for Dialga's ground weakness as well, that was fast, that resisted Steel, and could knock out Gastrodon. That's a lot to ask of one Pokemon, but there is one Pokemon that can do all of those things, and it's Thundurus Therian. So again, we went with Therian because of the Volt Absorbability, completely just making Regieleki useless when it comes to electric moves. And of course, my team is not too worried about Intimidate, so I didn't see any need to be running Defiant Thundurus Incarnate. I put the Life Orb on Thundurus as well, super strong. Went with Thunder, as you can see, because, well, I was running Kyogre, why not run Thunder? Also, that Grass Knot, which no one expects. No one expects that, especially if we max if we max Thunderous, we'll just knock out Gastrodon. And we got the Weather Ball as well, so we could do cool things like lead Thunderous against weather teams like Groudon, Charizard, and then switch in Koga and get off that Weather Ball as well on the max Geyser. So Thunderous was a really nice addition to the team. So in the next slot, I wanted something that was just strong, effective, and could help out in Trick Room. And of course, that's where Incineroar comes in. Again, Incineroar, I don't know if you heard about this, quite a good Pokemon. Access to Brick Break, which is the standout thing on this set. So you could do cool things like get the Trick Room up, and then Brick Break Dialga. I don't know why I said that's a cool thing. You can do logical things like set Trick Room up and Brick Break Dialga, get an Intimidate off in the process as well. Of course, you facilitate getting the Trick Room up with Fake Out. Just, it's an Incineroar with Brick Break. Then on to the last two Pokemon. Tornadus. I wanted Tailwind support, and who better on a Koga team than Tornadus? And I changed Tornadus' moveset the morning of the tournament. It originally had Protect, but when I was on my journey to the center, I was thinking, you know, as good as Protect is, it's a best of one tournament. I should be trying to get as much momentum as I can. And if I see a bunch of Fake Out monsters getting faked out all over the place, well, that's on me at the end of the day. But I decided to take the risk, and you know, you can play around Fake Out as well. So Protect became Brick Break. The other three moves, of course, were always there. Taunt was necessary for things like Amoonguss, Venusaur, things that just want to spam sleep moves basically, and just really good utility is Taunt. But the Brick Break really helped because I can set Tailwind obviously next to Koga, I can set Tailwind next to Dialga, and without the Brick Break, Tornadus Dialga is kind of a weird combo. They don't really do much for each other. But with the Brick Break, well, now you're talking. So that was where Tornadus came in, and super glad that I made that change. More on that a little bit later. And in the last slot, so this one's a bit contentious. If you did see Aaron Zheng's videos, he didn't bring the Latias at all, which I don't blame him in any of his battles. It's super situational. If you've seen this video on my channel, then you will know what the Latias can do. So with the eject button, it was geared towards best of one. It's not purely best of one, but it does have the best of one element to it. So if I felt like I needed to get Trick Room up 100%, then Latias had a way of helping me do that. Again, check out that video. If you haven't, you can just watch the first part of the first battle, no, of the only battle, and you will see how it works basically. But you can get Trick Room up, and then Latias can switch out, and then you can do cool stuff later on in the game because you've got Latias in the back for when Trick Room comes out to get Tailwind up, lower special attacks, and yeah, it was decent. In hindsight, I probably would change it, knowing what I know about the tournament now and going forwards. I'd probably change it to something like Bronzong, although maybe that's me just being biased because I played against Xerneas in the tournament. So that's the team. Let's quickly talk about Swiss. So I went undefeated in Swiss. Of course, the only player to do so. It was super cool because I was the only non-Thai person in the competition. And it was like something out of an anime. I made my way up to the first table number 1, within a few battles. And yeah, that was my seat. And I think there was kind of a mysticism about me. Who is this guy? Who is this guy who's clearly not from Thailand? Just sitting at table 1, just beating everyone. And I gained a little bit of a cult following as well. It was really, really cool, really good experience. And everyone was super nice throughout the day. All my opponents that I played were super nice. Of course, before the battles, but after the battles as well. They were supporting me. It was incredible. So I can't remember every single battle. Oh, one thing I forgot to mention, they didn't let us take notes, which was interesting, a little bit different. So I don't have notes from any of my battles. One thing I was worried about going into the tournament was, of course, the like trick eject button kind of things. I thought, we might see some of that, unfortunately. So we sit down for game 1, and it's trick eject button Whimsicott. But I managed to get the win. I sit down for game 2, it's trick eject button Sableye, and I got 1 turn of Dynamax in that game, and I'm not kidding when I say I had to play it perfectly from that point onwards to get the win, which I did manage to do. I was really proud of my plays all day. It was one of those events, you know, where things just kind of click and everything's going well. I forget how many rounds of Swiss there were. It's 6 or 7, I think, and altogether if you count Swiss and top 8 onwards, I played against 5 of the other top 8 players. So again, I can't remember how many rounds of Swiss there were, but let's say there were 7. That would mean that in rounds 5 and 6, I played against Chayasat Puntongchai, whose nickname is Sandy. Again, really nice guy, super cool team, super cool opponent. He was running Calyrex Shadow Rider, and it might have been Koga, I can't remember what else he had, but he certainly had that. And I also played against Tampapon Promkiri. And I also played against Tampapon Promkiri, also known as T. And those two both made it into top 8 as well. And again, super nice guys, both of them. T also had Calyrex Shadow Rider on his team as well. And in the final round of Swiss, I played against Chayawat Trawicha, also known as Nontaro, the guy who ended up finishing first in the tournament with a super cool Xerneas Groudon team. And I do remember this battle quite well because it was very close, as you would imagine. A really cool battle, and this was where the double brick break shone in that game because Nontaro had a Grimmsnarl on his team, obviously setting up screens among other things. In that game, I activated my own weakness policy in Trick Room with Incineroar, and then in the late game, I was able to get myself into a position where I had Tornadus and Koga, my last 2 Pokemon, against a weakened -1 Dynamax Groudon and an Incineroar that had been on the field for more than 1 turn already, so Fake Out wasn't an option. And I just set up Tailwind, and Incineroar had a special defense boost and Light Screen was up. So with Tornadus, again, I was able to Brick Break, smash those screens, get the big Water Spout off, which knocked out Incineroar, which I'm pretty sure would have survived otherwise. Got big damage off onto Groudon, and I was able to sew the game up from there. So the double Brick Break and changing the Brick Break for that morning on Thunderous was absolutely crucial. Without that, I 100% would have lost that game. So that was Swiss out the way. All of my opponents very gracious in defeat, super nice. Shout outs to the guy I played in round 3 because he deserved to beat me. He played it very well. Literal 50-50 turns where I just happened to make the right play. And then my Dalga crit his Dynamax Gastrodon and knocked it out, and he just couldn't win. It was just one of those games where the RNG was like, we're gonna let you win. And luckily, I was the player in that case. So let's talk about top 8. Top 4 onwards got Travel Awards, the World Championships, which are being held in London. I am from London. So this was a really nice opportunity for me to just kind of fly back home, see family, see friends, and attend the Pokemon World Championships as well. But I did have to get through one more player to be able to get that travel award. I played against Galpa Saturn, whose nickname is Gun. Gun was super cool. Gun was really cool. So there were a group of players. It was Nontaro and a few other players as well, Gun included. They're a team. They work together. They team build together. They play together. And you know what? We had lunch between Swiss and top 8, and they invited me to lunch. So I had lunch with them, which was super cool. It just kind of goes to show how friendly and non-adversarial everyone was, if that makes sense. You know, when you play, well, at least when I played in Pokemon tournaments in other countries, everyone's, and understandably, take things very seriously. And you probably wouldn't go to lunch with the guy that you're gonna play next because you want to talk about his team and how you're gonna beat it. But no, there was none of that going on. You know, we were all there, we were having a chat together. It was just a really nice time. So top 8 comes along, and yeah, Gun had a really tough team. In my opinion, a really difficult matchup for me. He had Yveltal Zacian team, and Yveltal was quite scary to say the least for my team, especially if it has Snarl. I learned very quickly in game 1 that his Yveltal was not special. It was full physical with Life Orb because my Koga went down on turn 1, and I was like, wow, I've got an Assault Vest, that did a lot of damage. And then I realised, this is physical Yveltal, maybe it doesn't have Snarl. So I was able to eke out the win in game 1. So game 2 was a bit more clear cut than game 1. Game 1 was really difficult, it was really close. Game 2, I was just able to play just out of my mind, basically. I maxed Thunderous, and he had an Amoonguss on his team, which was really scary as well. Just his team composition was really tough. And he brought the Amoonguss, because of course he wants to stop my Trick Room. I maxed Thunderous, and I was switching the terrain between electric and grassy terrain, baiting out the spore onto Dialga when on turns that I was setting up the electric terrain, and then being able to knock Amoonguss out so that it's not protecting or rage powdering, just generally being annoying. So really good games to gun, super close, but with that, we moved on to top 4. So in top 4, I played Narrowitch Nayana, aka Pipe, and Pipe is another one of those players who is from the team I mentioned earlier. We played this on TV screens, and again, this was a minor criticism, although it's very minor. So I played the whole tournament with my headphones on because I can get distracted quite easily. And when we sat down to play on the TV screens, they were quite old. You could see around the edge of the screen that some of the pixels were dead. And when I plugged in my headphones, no sound. So we've got an audience like right next to us watching, and not this an excuse or anything. You know, I lost the set at the end of the day. I should have played better. But game one was terrible. I set Tailwind and then Trick Roomed on the following turn. My head just was not in the game. Again, not necessarily because of the headphone issue. If I'm being honest, it probably was a mixture between that and also the fact that I was very aware that I had all these people watching right there, and they were interested. They want to see who this guy was. So it was Zacian Kyogre, I believe. So I was playing against an opposing Kyogre, and he had 2 grass types. Amoonguss to stop my Trick Room, which was quite annoying, and Kartana as well, which was Assault Vest. So just a really difficult matchup. So I lost game 1. I just lost game 1. Yeah, it wasn't well played at all by me. Lost game 1. Game 2 was a lot closer, and it came down to the wire. And through his own admission as well, I think Pipe misplayed on one of the last turns of the game, where if he'd done the other thing that he should have done, he would have just won. But he didn't do that, and it allowed me to win. So going into game 3, I decided to make some changes, and I had not brought Latias the entire day. So I thought, you know what, I'm on the screens, people probably want to see a Latias as well. It has a function, let's do it. So I did bring Latias, and Latias did what it needed to do. I think I led Dialga Incineroar into Kyogre and Zacian, I believe. And what I was able to do on turn 1 was protect my Dialga, switch Incineroar out to Latias to take the water move coming in from Kyogre. Eject button activates, Incineroar comes back in again, gets a second Intimidate down on Zacian, and then we're threatening a Fake Out, and I can get Trick Room up basically. And if I lose Incineroar, I lose Incineroar. I believe in the back I had Tornadus to stop the Amoonguss taunting, and of course I had the Latias as well. So I got the Trick Room up, things were going well. I can't remember how I lost my Incineroar, maybe I did lose it on that turn, but I did activate my weakness policy at some point, I know that much. And I got the late game Tailwind as well. So it came down to, do I ally switch or not? Again, I hadn't revealed anything. Speaking to Pipe, he assumed that I had ally switch, and I did go for the ally switch, and it was the right call in front of Zacian and Kyogre. Those were the last 2 Pokemon. And I flash cannoned the Zacian, expecting it to knock out. It did not knock out. Had I gone for the Roar of Time into Kyogre, and if it had knocked out, Kyogre was quite healthy, but again, my weakness policy was activated. It's a Roar of Time as well. If I'd have done that, and if assuming it hadn't missed, I would have won that set then. But alas, I didn't do that, so I didn't win the set. So unfortunately, no redemption arc. I didn't get to finish the anime that was playing out between myself and Nontaro. Admittedly, I was probably the villain in this particular anime, with Nontaro being the hero. The idea being he'd get redemption in the final for the win that I got earlier on, but it wasn't to be, unfortunately. And to be honest, it was probably a good job that I didn't win the tournament, being as it was Thailand's first ever national. And spoiler alert, I'm not Thai. However, maybe I am. I am now, apparently I am now. Yeah, so if I did win it, this particular quote on the Thai Facebook page would not look so great if it was my name there. Also, the video we were showing on the screen, which was, I forget which staff member from TPCI it was, but he gave a message saying how he was looking forward to hopefully having a champion from Thailand, a world champion from Thailand. Again, I don't quite fit the bill, but next year, as I said, next year we're coming and we're going to be more prepared. I'll be attending the World Championships. I want to be buying a pin that looks something like this, so that when I do attend, I will be representing Thailand, because I'm not going to forget, you know, I got to the World Championships through the Thai system, and the Thai community and the Thai players are the ones that are going to be helping me as well. So I'm really looking forward to proudly having that while I'm competing. So that was the team. That was my run in the tournament. Again, couldn't be happier. I mean, I could be happier if I won, but I can't complain. It was a really great time, and huge shout outs to everyone that I've mentioned so far. All of those guys that I played against that I mentioned, Gun, Nontaro, Pipe, T, Sandy, everyone else as well. Super, super nice. Also shout outs to my Grist, and just everyone that I met throughout the day. Also accepted me as kind of an honorary member of Team Thailand, so we'll be prepping for Worlds together in some capacity. And yeah, just a great experience overall. Really looking forward to next year. Hopefully I get a spot next year if they do the whole registration thing again in lottery. Before I finish, if you've watched this far, thank you for watching. Again, big shout outs to everyone I've just mentioned. Also shout outs to Jira as well. It was really cool to meet you. Shout outs to all of my opponents. It was really cool to meet all of them. Everyone else that come up to me and spoke to me at the event as well. Shout outs to Light, one of the staff members there. He was really running things. I don't think he was literally running things, as in like that was necessarily his job, but he was very much left to run things, and he did a really amazing job of it. And I believe he now works for the Pokemon company full time. So Light, if you're watching, good job. Really well done. And last but not least, shout outs to Nun as well. So you guys probably don't know who Nun is, but if you're from Thailand, you definitely know who Nun is. He was the caster at the event, one of the casters. He's basically the face of Pokemon here in Thailand, particularly the TCG. He's dubbed for the anime as well here in Thailand. He's been the voice of, I think, Snubble and a few other Pokemon. And just a really nice guy. He was constantly coming up to me throughout the tournament, checking in on me, seeing how I was doing, wishing me luck. And yeah, shout outs to him. So with all that said, again, if you've watched this far, thank you for watching, and hopefully you'll keep on watching, because I'm going to be prepping for Worlds, and you can help me out. If anyone's got any ideas, let me know. I don't know what I'm going to be doing, but some interesting videos coming up with some things. Anyway, that's for another day. Thanks for watching, guys. Hopefully I'll catch you in the next one, and well, the next one of these videos next year. Hopefully for Worlds, that would be cool. Yeah, hopefully I'll see you then.